Hey everyone, I just did a video about the block size war, and so you can go back and watch that if you want. It's kind of technical and more for advanced users. But here's a video about how transactions work on the Bitcoin blockchain network. So it sort of dovetails with the previous video, because in the previous video I talked about the fact that the block size limit is 1 megabyte, which means what I'll cover in this video is there is a cost to transact on the Bitcoin network, because every 10 minutes or so, the Bitcoin miners find a block, and in order to get in that block to have your transaction processed, you have to bid some level of a fee in order to get your transaction included. Otherwise, you'll end up so far in the back of the line that it could take days or weeks or months to have your transaction processed. So thankfully, that's handled by Coinbase or things like that. If you try to send Bitcoin, they will not let you send it with a fee that is too low to get your transaction processed. But what that means is there is a fee associated with that. So here's how this all works. First of all of the major providers handle the moving of Bitcoin around internal to their applications or their companies with no fees. So for example, if somebody texts me and, the word Bitcoin, I send them $30 of free Bitcoin. And the way I do that is I send that $30 of free Bitcoin to whatever phone number texted me. I just send $30 of Bitcoin in Coinbase to the phone number. Now, Coinbase allows you to send Bitcoin to a phone number, an email address, or to a official Bitcoin address, which is a long series of digits of letters and numbers, and it usually starts with the letters BC1, as in Bitcoin 1. But anyway, it doesn't have to, but it often starts with the letters BC1. Anyway, so if I'm sending someone Bitcoin within Coinbase, if they have an account with that phone number tied to it, they will get $30 of Bitcoin automatically when I send it. If they don't, they will get a text message asking them to set up an account. And I can also do that with email. It works the same way. If the email address I send it to is tied to a Coinbase account, they will get $30 of free Bitcoin automatically. If it's not tied to an account, they will get an email offering to set up an account, and they can set up an account in Coinbase to do that. So the third alternative, if you're not sending Bitcoin to a phone number or to an email address, is to send it to a actual Bitcoin address. Now, the first two options do not have any cost associated with them, because it just involves Coinbase moving Bitcoin around between participants on their network. And so there's no cost. And the same is true if you move Bitcoin around. If you, for example, have Cash App and you move Bitcoin to other Cash App users, there's no cost to do that. And so you can send it to anything within Cash App. And as long as you stay within Cash App, there's no cost. As long as you stay within Coinbase, there's no cost. I believe the same is true of Robinhood and other apps. I know it's true of Cash App and of Coinbase, since those are the two. I use Cash App with my kids because they're under the age of 18, so they can't have a Coinbase account, and Coinbase for anyone 18 or older, because it's better all around as long as you're 18. So anyway, but if you are transacting on the main chain, there is a cost. It goes up and down. Usually it's a few dollars. Sometimes it can get expensive if the network is congested to, more than that, $10 or more. So what that means is, for payments, typically you need to use a layer 2 solution, something like Visa or MasterCard tied to Bitcoin, like the Coinbase debit card, or the Bitcoin Lightning Network, which is the network specifically designed for Bitcoin to do payments, which basically costs a fraction of a cent to process payments on the Lightning Network. But if you're transacting on the main chain, again, it's expensive, or there is absolutely some costs associated with it, which is what pays the Bitcoin miners who are securing and auditing the network. So all that to say, sometimes people will reach out to me and they'll say, hey, can I get free Bitcoin? And, they'll give me an official Bitcoin address. And I usually respond and say, sure, I'm happy to send you Bitcoin there, but there's a transaction fee to move it around. If you're already on Coinbase or Cash App, I'd rather send it within those apps, because then it stays, you don't have to pay any transaction fees. So anyway, that's the way it works. To recap, the reason there is a transaction fee is so that the Bitcoin miners still get paid in a world where their block rewards are decreasing every 4 years, just like they did last week. And it keeps the Bitcoin blocks small down to officially just 1 megabyte, although technically they're a little larger than that, every 10 minutes. And without some sort of fee, there's no way for the miners to determine which transactions they should include in the block and which ones they shouldn't, because it's the fee essentially communicates priority. And so if you want to be in the very next block, you've got to, pay a few dollars. If you don't care if your transaction's included anytime in the next 24 hours, well, then oftentimes you can pay a much lower fee. And if you don't care anytime in the next week, well, sometimes you can get away with paying almost nothing and still get included. So anyway, that's the way transactions work. I especially like Coinbase just because it's super elegant to send Bitcoin to any email address, phone number, or on the Bitcoin network. And Cash App works really well for that as well. And I really wonder if at some point, Cash App already does a lot of payments with Square, which is their technology for point of sale systems. And they're the same company. The company Square/Block is the same company behind BitKey. It is also the same company behind Cash App. And they do a lot of stuff in the payments. And so I'm wondering at some point if they won't have a native way of doing that. And they actually already support the Bitcoin Lightning Network, but I have not seen it used in their payment terminals. They probably have it, but at least the few times I've used a Cash App payment terminal or somebody with a QR code on their phone, it's defaulted to just using the native Cash App rather than Bitcoin Lightning Network, for example. So anyway, those are a few highlights of how Bitcoin transactions work. Hopefully it's helpful.